Okay, this is my first time ever going live. Not like anybody's even watching me or ever does watch me, but I have something I really need to talk about because I am horrified by this incident that happened. I'm really out of the loop. I'm not gonna lie. I really don't follow Facebook anymore. I don't really watch the news. I've tried to stay out of those things recently just because I can't really deal with it emotionally. It gets too heavy on my heart, especially after all these school shootings. I just can't take it. It seems like it's one after another after another. So I did go on Google. I just wanted to make sure I was spelling something right. And I went on my Google app and saw this bomber situation in Austin and talking about the Austin bomber was a homeschooler. Let me just say something really quick to you about this. I find it really funny that when all these other shootings and everything else was going on at all the schools, nobody really talked about the person. They talked about guns. It was guns, guns, guns. Well, now it's a homeschooler, and all of a sudden, it's all about the kid. It's all about his problems. He was a Christian, he was raised as a Christian. So now we're going to look at Christians and we're going to look at Christian homeschoolers and we're going to what? Start banning Christianity, start banning homeschooling rather than whatever this kid was doing. Okay, again, the double standards and the hypocrisy of this whole situation just drives me nuts because here we have again another school disaster. We're not talking about school safety. We're not talking about safety for our children. We're just talking about now we're just talking about how the bomber was a homeschooled kid. Um, I'm looking at some of the things that I'm not going to lie. I don't really know a whole lot about this situation. All I know is as I'm looking through Google, everyone's talking about him being a homeschooler. Now, here's a really good one. Sympathy for white Austin bomber stirs debate about race. From PBS. Really? Shut up. That's crazy. You know what? It has nothing to do about race. The only reason why we're talking about any of this is because there's a lot of troubled teenagers out there. Yeah, I can't edit that. There's a lot of troubled teenagers out there, plain and simple. And anyone who was ever a teenager should know how troubling this feels. And it's not the parents' fault. We can sit here and say, which is being said, that, you know, the parents were terrible because they prayed for them. I am going to go to real quick. Oh, no. I want to go to what happened, what somebody wrote on Twitter about this whole situation and how disgusting these people are. Uh, so it was from Tim Wise on Twitter. He wrote, so the Austin bomber came from a religious Christian family that homeschooled him. Got to keep the kids away from those horrible secular impulses after all, and is shocked by his acts because they're normal and pray. So here are some thoughts. And now he goes, one, why do white Christians think their religiosity insulates them from having kids who are horrible? Maybe stop praying and engage with your kids and raise them. Jesus isn't enough, clearly. And three, if this were a devout Muslim family who prayed, yeah, you know the rest. This is just the most disgusting thing I've ever read. I am so sick of people like this. You know, you're focusing on this whole idea that it's his Christianity, it's his parents, it's everything else. No, you know what? There are times when good parents have kids that stray. that have problems, that have mental issues, that go far beneath, religion. It has nothing to do with religion, but yet here we are. We're downing the Christians again. We're talking about how Jesus isn't enough. Well, I'll tell you something, Jesus is enough. And I'm sure if that kid knew Jesus, he would not have done what he did. So clearly, we know that he had psychological problems and he didn't know Jesus, because people who know Jesus don't do this. Let's just make that clear, Tim Wise from Twitter. No, we don't do that. And yes, homeschooling. Yeah, we're not going to put our kids back into the public schools where everybody's getting shot up and, they basically are going to start living in a prison system because they're going to have to be on lockdown all the time just in case a shooter comes in. But let's worry about this one guy who was homeschooled at one point. My goodness, for real, this is what we're focusing on. Now, all these other kids, they're doing a walkout protesting gun violence. What are they going to do now? Are they going to walk out and protest homeschooling? Or are they going to walk out and protest Christianity? Because that's the next best thing, isn't it? Because we're all entwined, all of us. We like the guns, we like our God, and we like our Bible. God forbid that we should also want to homeschool our children and keep them away from the secular crap that's being fed to so many of our children. I'm sorry. This is just utterly ridiculous. And I'm tired of the hypocrisy and the double standard that always goes along with these situations. Whenever it's a conservative, it's all about the conservative. Whenever it's a liberal, it's all about something else. It's all about just overlooking this problem, this person, and focusing on guns or whatever. It's just tiring. And stop looking down on homeschoolers because we don't want to send our children to places where they are government controlled and they are learning things that aren't true. And you may disagree with that as a secularist and say that we're teaching our children things that aren't true, but that's our choice. That is our choice as parents. We get to choose how we raise our children, whether you like it or not. And that's just how it goes. And if we are breaking those boundaries, meaning if we are abusing our children physically or sexually, then yes, that is something terrible and wrong. But we're not doing that. Many of us are not doing that. This family did not do that. So don't start blaming homeschool again, because that's always where you guys come from with this homeschooling issue. Just stop it. Stop talking about the guns. Start talking about the people. Start talking about the real problems that are going on in our world, like bullying. Oh my gosh, we live in a world where there's anti-bullying campaigns going on everywhere. And we talk about, oh, who's that gay guy who goes out and talks to all the schools, Dan something or another. He is the biggest bully of them all. He goes into these schools and starts ridiculing everyone who doesn't believe the way that he does. So how is that anti-bullying when you have bullies that are going out and talking about anti-bullying? And we can see in politics bullying everywhere we look. Obama was a bully. Pelosi is a bully. Harry Reid is a bully. I don't care what you're thinking about one political party over the other. Politicians are bullies. And Hollywood celebrities, come on, you're the biggest bullies of all. You're the biggest hypocrites. First of all, you want to talk about gun control, but yet every one of your movies has guns. Just about every one. And almost all of those movies, it's all glamorizing using a gun. So I'm not a big gun supporter. However, I just don't really like the hypocrisy of the gun control issue. I just don't. I don't own a gun. I probably never will. I don't need a gun, but I also believe in people's rights to have one. And those who have guns from the NRA, those of you who keep talking about the NRA, you stupid children, who are out there right now talking all this garbage about the NRA and the politicians being bought by the NRA, you don't know what you're talking about. You really have no clue because the NRA isn't behind any of these people who are shooting up the world. Okay. You don't see them carrying an NRA, ID. You won't find that in their pocket. Okay. So let's stop with the NRA. Just leave it alone. Go away, leave that subject alone because it doesn't belong there. So then we move on to this whole idea that, you know, we have children in school that are being bullied all the time, and you have no idea. If you haven't been bullied, you have no idea what that can do to a person. And we live in this world where the kids are watching everything going on in the movies, and then they go to school and they get picked on and bullied and pushed around and beat up, and nobody does anything about it. But yet, a little kid, a little second grader, takes a bite out of his Pop Tart and he says it looks like a gun, and the poor kid is suspended from school. You people are ridiculous. You're getting way out of control, and it's all this PC ridiculousness and this all we can't say this, we can't say that, we can't do this, we can't be offensive. Your love trumps hate, but yet you're the haters is getting out of control and nobody can take it anymore. And before you know it, everyone's going to start shooting up everyone. The more that you talk about it, the more that you just keep pounding it in people's heads, the more that people are going to start going out and doing these things. You need to stop glamorizing it. Watch Chicago. Watch the movie Chicago. That whole screenplay was written based on a true story of the glamorization of criminals and murderers. And this is what we're doing big time with this instant live TV. Everything's like breaking news. And before you know it, everybody wants their 5 seconds of fame because now it's not 15 minutes anymore. It's 15 seconds because that 15 seconds is done because the next day some kids going out there and shooting up the next school because they're like, hey, I'm going to get my 15 minutes of glory. And there you have it. So let's stop talking about gun control. Let's stop talking about homeschool. Let's stop talking about Christianity, and let's start talking about the real problems of the world. And the real problem of the world is that you liberals have just created a pile of poo that's just stinking. You look at our campuses and all the things they can't say, they can't do. Everything's racist. Everything's a bigotry. Really stop it because you're creating this nightmare that's out in this world. You are making things worse with your hate. We aren't the ones that are hating. You are. And you're the ones that's causing all of these problems that are going on. It's time to stop it now.